Becky, I think it's really important that we have a think about how supervision has been for you during the placement. So if you're okay with the model that we've used, and we just explore a few things together that might be useful for particularly professional supervisors to know. We've got our PACE model here, and we use the PACE model as the foundation of our supervision.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you actually use the model, how you set your agenda when you came into supervision?
Okay, well, I think the model is really easy and simple to understand. So when I'm setting the agenda, I kind of just write down, like I just brainstorm and list down the things that I want to talk about, and then I go back to the model and think,
Okay.
is that administrative or you know, support, or you know, professional practice, or or educative. So then I could go and check and put them in those areas
Where you'd like the focus of the discussion to be.
That's right.
Yes, yes.
So this is a really good handout, like for me to work out which one they belong to.
And how you set your agenda, which was very impressive. You would come to supervision every time throughout your placement, and you would have something under each of the 4 areas. Was that a deliberate thing, or how did you approach having something not just under one area or 2 areas for supervision? You always had something under the 4 areas of discussion.
No, I think it was what I was experiencing at that time, and what I felt it was most needed. So there will be times when we focus more on professional, you know, practice and do a lot of reflection. When there are times I come to you and I don't know where they belong, and then we just explore and see where it takes us. So.
And often, well, not often, but sometimes what would happen is that you would come to supervision and say, I'd really like to talk about a particular topic area, and I'd like to talk about that under the professional practice area, and I would take you into another area altogether.
That's right, yeah.
And
or I would think, Tracey, we have a lot of admin to get through today, and it ended up in practice for support and things like that. So it's quite amazing how this model really can facilitate the supervision.
Supervision process. Yeah, fantastic. How did you find, there's an evaluation tool that we use at the end of each supervision meeting. How did you find our focus of that? So rating each part of our discussion out of 10, and we looked at the focus or the energy that we had in supervision on that particular day. How was that evaluation tool for you in bringing the supervision meeting to a close?
It was really good in terms of my perspective of where the focus was, and your perspective is so different in the early stages. But then towards the end, we kind of we kind of come to more of a similar score or evaluation. So,
and understanding where the discussion was.
Right.
I think that's a really good point for professional supervisors to understand that when you start using an integrated model like this, is that the staff member or student will be thinking through a very different space, and it's important that we're actually teaching professionals how to use this model, so that then the focus becomes quite similar, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. What else will we talk about? When you first started your placement and you had an idea of what supervision was, what was that? What did you think supervision was?
To me, supervision is more like a performance management process, or a space where you evaluate or assess how the worker or the student is performing. So I basically had no idea what professional supervision look like. So it was definitely very different to what I had imagined. That
What did it look like? What was your definition by the end of your placement?
Well, I don't know if I can come up with this with a definition at the moment, but it's helped me a lot throughout the placement. It gave me that space to reflect, to bring tricky cases to talk about caseloads, but also being supported in the process as well. So I can't put it in, really in a few words, but that's what supervision did for me. And it was very open, it was very very supportive, and
you had some ethical dilemmas through the placement.
That's right.
Was that something that you had ever considered bringing to supervision to discuss?
Well, not at first. So my understanding of supervision maybe wasn't that mature back then. And remember, on the first day I said, when you were doing CBT and going through that with me, I felt like it was a counselling session, and we talked about we don't do counselling in supervision. So I felt, wow, I don't know, and I asked you because I wasn't sure, and it felt like we were in a counselling session, but it wasn't. So, but it was more about empowering, exploring the areas that, or the issues, so that the student or the worker can be best supported in that process.
And we really found through that process how in supervision we can look at how our beliefs and values influence how we decide what our practice is with clients, and how then that can lead our direction in what we do without thinking about what is the practice framework that I'm using, what is the theoretical approach that I'm using. So that was really interesting seeing you come through that stage to say, wow, I hadn't really thought of the supervisory process in that way, and you actually grew through that process to see what were some of the beliefs that you were thinking about were leading you in the placement process.
And as well, I didn't know how much of my decision making came from my beliefs and values, and was such a revelation.
It was a wonderful learning experience, wasn't it, during that time?
Definitely.
And all the while our model was guiding our discussions, so that we would set the agenda at the beginning of the session, the beginning of the meeting, with both of us being very busy in the placement. It is ideal for supervisors to set the agenda beforehand, but often that's not possible. And what I found was that when you came to supervision, you were very reflective in what you wanted to talk about, and you really drove the process. We looked at different times during the supervision discussions about, as a professional, how our beliefs and values can influence our practice. Was that useful for you in terms of using the model and looking at the beliefs and values from different perspectives?
I think it really helped me to understand very much of my decision making came from my own beliefs and values. And we also explored, what is, the professional, identity, and also my perspectives on that, and also my own beliefs and values intersecting that.
I think that from our discussions we certainly were able to identify as professionals that if we really understand where our beliefs and values come from and what some of those really core beliefs are, then we can actually even more so see how they inform or influence our decision making process. Okay, Becky, thank you. That was just really important for us to have a look at the importance of supervision, how we set the agenda, and then how you use the integrated model during your placement. So thank you.
My pleasure.